Okay, it is an honor for me to introduce Miss Joyce Anne Judd, who has made her arts, the arts, her life's work, from studying communications with a focus in journalism at the now renamed Atlantic Cape Community College. Then made the transition into fashion design, studying in Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, continuing her interest to study. She went to Amherst College in Boston and received a certificate program in arts management. Joyce's early educational experience and work experience led her to work in some of the most prestigious fashion houses in New York. Y'all can see how she dressed, right? You done that. But in the design industry, moving her into other genres in the arts. This would open the door to arts education at the prestigious New York Museum of Art, where she committed to over 20 years of greatest experience in teaching, which she attributes to her former boss, Shirley Thompson Ward, who was the Deputy Director of Education and Programs and the Newark Arts, an iconic organization, who has been operating as a leader to and for Newark Arts and its artist community for over 40 years. Joyce Anne attributes her first and foremost art experience and love of the arts to her growing up in the southern New Jersey. Joyce Anne shares, my background was a natural setting for all I was to embark on in this industry of the arts: singing, dancing, public speaking, reciting poetry, and fashion, and much, much more. The beauty and life of the farmlands of South Jersey began with her father's farm. He so loved and cared for, and all with all his heart, creativity, nurturing mind and hands. Joyce Ann remembers the flowering gardens, green trees, fruit trees, shrubs, grass all grew unbelievably beautiful. The forest was a natural alignment and setting for the background of this property. It created a natural painting and sculpture of God's good earth creation. From this life experience, Joyce learned the roots of her love of the arts is taken from the true form of her exposure to nature and applying it to all forms of art. This relationship to things of the earth for Joyce Ann would take her away perhaps for more than most an extraordinary experience, not just in from its beauty, but her own hands-on experience working the earth and gardens. Her senses of smell, seeing, and to taste the things of the earth she viewed as a true beauty of art. Joyce Ann believes art affects and touches all of our senses. This relationship to the earth has kept Joyce Ann believes this experience and relationship of the earth has anchored her life of the true and deep connection art formed by the earth, which is the foundation for her success. And so now, Mr. Gary Edison. We heard a little bit, but this I'm gonna give you a little bit more. So Gary studies at the West Barron School of Voiceover in New York, New York, and studied at the Mason Gross School of the Arts. One of his mentors was the accomplished actor Avery Brooks, known for his great work on stage, TV, and film. Gary, as most actors' talents, opened many other opportunities, such as being a member of the Local 21 International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, located in Essex County, Newark, New Jersey. Local 21 is the seventh oldest local in the international. As a moment in history, Gary became a part of history, becoming one of the first African American stage technicians of the Local 21 in 1994. His weekly professional schedule, he is employed with the New Jersey Symphony as a master carpenter. Best kept secret, Gary's late father was the avid gardener. He had a profound love and respect for the earth and a great joy in planting, growing things of beauty, and designing gardens on a grand scale. Gary has found himself doing likewise at his home he shares with his wife, Kathy. And with that, welcome, Joyce and Gary. And I'm going to turn over to Gary to share the beginnings of our conversation. So, Gary,
Thank you so much,
welcome.
Connor. Thank you so much for that introduction. Um, yeah, three views. We're bringing three views to you. We're going to bring the works of Langston and Joyce and I in the research portion to, to look for the connections of Langston and the land. And in that research, Joyce found a poem entitled Freedom's Plow. And earlier, when Carla and I were speaking, we needed to realize poem was probably, I would guess it was like 7 or 8 minutes long. And I did not want to take so much of that away from what you guys, your organization really is standing for. But we wanted to also see a piece of Langston that would touch all of us and what we're all trying to do. And he's right. I grew up Gadway, New Jersey, on a square acre in the 50s, 60s. And my father, who later on became a retired welder as a profession, um, he would change our property landscape literally every year and a half. A flower bed would be there. Next year, it's not there. Grass is growing. The bed's somewhere else, a new bed. And watching my father uh, build the land, I have so many beautiful photographs of flower garden. Because on a square acre with a ranch house, you can put a lot of flowers. We grew up with a 20 by 40 vegetable garden. I mean, every vegetable imagined. Grapevines, pear trees, apple trees. So unbeknownst later on in life, that was all in me. It was coming out of me. We family of 9 kids. And so we saw the land. Now, of course, when I was little, I hated to dig my hands in dirt. I was scared of worms. I'm still scared of worms. But the idea now, as she's saying, where I live in Somerville, New Jersey, with my wife Kathy, I have a little piece of land, and I like getting into it. I like making things happen, making things grow, and I believe helping to keep the environment a little cleaner with those plants. We know what plants do for our environment. So, but moving forward again with the poem excuse me, Freedom's Plow, we could touch upon a little bit about what Langston was seeing, because he did travel throughout the South. He actually traveled at one time with Zora Neale Hurston, and through quite wealthy white benefactors. Um, they were driving down, seeing the sharecroppers, trying to truly farm the land post-slavery, and measuring the heads, as they say, of the Negro, looking for the primitive. So Langston, I think, had a fairly close relationship. His father, later on in life, was somewhat of a wealthy landowner in Toluca, Mexico. So there's a connection there as well, but we hadn't had the time to research that for you. But I plan on researching it to see what his father was doing. Uh, I would say that was roughly around the, I would say, he was 17 years old, roughly 16, 17 years old when he traveled to see his father, who he hadn't seen from probably the age of 3 or 4. But again, let me give you this length. Let me hopefully, and we'll all feel that part of it. And again, because of Black history, I'll give you one short poem, one of his most famous poems, I Too. A Freedom's Plow. When a man starts out with nothing, when a man starts out with his hands empty but clean, when a man starts to build a world, he starts first with himself and the faith that is in his heart, the strength there the will there to build. First, in the heart is the dream. Then the mind starts seeking a way. His eyes look out on the world, on the great wooded world, on the rich soil of the world, on the rivers of the world. The eyes see there materials for building, see the difficulties too, and the obstacles. The mind seeks a way to overcome these obstacles. The hand seeks tools to cut the wood, to till the soil, and harness the power of the waters. Then the hand seeks other hands to help, a community of hands to help. Thus, the dream becomes not one man's dream alone, but a community dream. Not my dream alone, but our dream. Not my world alone, but your world and my world, belonging to all the hands who build. Short excerpt of Freedom's Plow, Langston Hughes. And again, Black history, we get our 28, 29 days, once a year. So let's say something that is so relevant that is sad. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They ask me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. For tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes, and nobody'll dare say to me, eat the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am American. Thank you. Langston Hughes. And I mean, there's again, as I was saying earlier, there's a tie-in. We all need to, again, continue to research. Joyce and I will definitely research more of Langston and his dad and just find out what Langston thought about this. And are there fiction and novels and children's stories that he applied himself to the land and wrote about this wonderful goodness that we all tend to overlook. So, any thoughts, questions, ideas?
For me, it was very powerful. I'm ready. I'm waiting for the conversation to start as you guys go deeper. You and Miss Joyce Anne Judd. Not if others have conversation, but I'm looking for you guys to go on and get deeper on talking about what you know, your conversation about was it 3 Sage Show with Langston. So looking for, yes, you and Joyce to continue this conversation.
Yes, Joyce Ann, are you still with us? Oh, I think why is she muted? I think she's muted.
She is muted.
Joyce,
Sorry,
have you heard?
hi, here I am.
Okay, Joyce,
Yes.
elaborate a little more for our folks here. Talk a little bit more about Langston and what you feel as far as connections go.
Okay. And well, with Langston Hughes, it's just, I mean, he was one of the phenomenons. And he actually, I'm so sorry, my camera is not working on screen, so I apologize. So the next time we meet, we do this, I'll be up and ready. That he was just a phenomenon. At the age of 13, he's writing powerful works like the Sue Bear's Red. And it's very elaborate and flamboyant about a view of a young girl. And if you listen to this poem, you would think it was a grown man or a very, you know, a more adult person than 13. And when I first experienced it, 13, who thinks like that? And even in the 21st century, he was way ahead of his time as a visionary and also emotionally and mentally and creatively. It was just such a huge amount of greatness in this man that it just kept growing and growing. And every bit of his works is just incredible. I experienced Langston Hughes, excuse me, when I was in high school. And there was a group of us who decided to go on this exploration and look for African-American Black writers and as such. And we did just that. And then we presented the body of work in our school, which was quite amazing because if you know anything about South Jersey, it is quite white bread America. And especially during that time when I was growing up. And to be able to do that, it was just, you know, a very exciting thing. And I tucked it in my heart, and I just never thought that I would ever re-experience this work again until Gary was gifted this particular body of Langston's work when he did First Night out in Flemington. And he blew him away so strongly. One of the producers and the two producers of it gave him the book and said, "This is you. You need to go forth with this." And then he found me and said, "We're doing this." I'm like, "Okay, what are we doing?" So almost 30 years later, this is what we've been blessed with.
Did you?
Right,
So, yes.
Joyce. Yeah, I thought you would say that, but we had an opportunity to present the program. And again, it was a gift. God truly he gave us the book of poetry from, I believe, was from the selected poems of Langston Hughes. And out of there, arbitrarily, we basically chose 37 poems. But some point, I was reading them out of the book, had to get it expanded so I could have it in a rather large notebook. Then I realized in order to perform the piece, I needed to commit to memory. And I never had a great memory. I was never a reader growing up in school, through college. I mean, I had to read in college. I had to read in school, but I didn't really, you know. So God gave literally almost 2 years, I was able to memorize the 37 poems, which would make it a 2-hour performance with an intermission.
I think it was a little over that. Over 2 years was over that.
Right. So it opened its opportunity at McCarter Theater in Princeton as an arts education program, because I was there in 1992, working there as a stage technician. I was presently, at that time, the head carpenter for Crossroads Theater Company. Actually, those are one of the theaters I started at. Crossroads, I got involved with them in 1978, and George Street Playhouse in 1976. So again, the arts, again, paying back or giving back to me. And when I approached McCarter Theater in Princeton, they knew me as a stage technician. Well, yeah, let's try it. And for, I think, Joyce, what, 4 years, 5 years?
I'm sorry, repeat that part again. I'm sorry.
About 4 or 5 years, we were a resident in residency there at McCarter Theater.
Oh, yes. No, it was longer than that.
Right.
And we were well received by the artistic dramaturg, Emily
Mann.
Emily Mann.
Mhm.
Hands down, it was a go. And at that time, we had we were introduced to Vince DeMure, who was a pianist, and said they believed that to introduce music to the piece would be a wonderful collaborative. And we were like looking at him like, oh, he's going to play for us because
we didn't know him at all.
European.
Never met him.
Pardon me?
Yeah, we never met him.
We never met him. He was European. And we're like, really? He's going to play? You recommend him? So he invited us to his home and met his family, made dinner for us. And then he and Gary went into his music room and he said, well, let me just play for you. I was there likewise, obviously. And we were blown away going like, really? He said, I did my homework. And he was a child prodigy. Little did we know, he'd been to Carnegie Hall at what, 14?
Sure, he studied at Juilliard.
Yeah, so he had an amazing classical background, but his heart was in the jazz. He said he really loved to do this work as opposed to playing dead Germans work, quote, end of quote. And
Yeah, dead Germans.
that's what he said. He said it publicly, but oh no. But we were
but
blessed
again,
with him, and to this day, he remains a part of the
yes,
opportunity. So when opportunity is there for either us or him, likewise, then he participates in the performance, and he always blows everybody away, and he plays right into Gary's acting and delivery of Langston's great work. We just been thoroughly blessed. I'm just so grateful that, you know, loving the arts my whole entire life, and then being able to continue to live out my dream and my joy, and then get paid for it. That's just like a bonus. But like Gary said, it's more about what we love to do. Yes, we need to be paid. We have to pay bills like all of us in the world. But when we get that return response from people of what they saw, what they felt, what they think, we've had people in tears about this work when we've done certain specific pieces of the work. And we're like, okay.
yeah, how,
Yes,
yeah, Joyce, you know, again, I didn't expect that we're going to wrap some things around 3 views, but you know,
that's all right.
no, but
Because
it
it is a
started
part of what
itself.
I do.
Yeah, it grew. We've been residency at Paper Mill Playhouse in Milburn. I was one
Oh,
of the first.
we snatched at a wood out of 21 counties. Newark took it. And that was it. That was at Art High School, and we presented the work, and we beat them all out.
Well, what they did was they sent our program into Arts High in Newark, and we spent 3 months with, I believe, junior high school students.
I think it was
And
I don't know if there might have been a couple seniors, but definitely was the junior level.
just
Under
to develop,
Miss Brazil.
Lenora Brazell
Yes.
was the teacher there at that time, and we worked with her theater class. And it's getting, not only did we want to get them to know Langston and know about his life, because we use his autobiography, The Big C, and we also use a biography entitled Langston Hughes Before and Beyond Harlem by Faith Berry. So the
Yes.
students were going to get the poetry, but they're going to get his life and then try to attach those things to what he went through in, you know, the 20s going on to the 30s, and what their lives are, and write about their lives, but also incorporate the music, incorporate choreography. And yeah, we're proud to say that those kids, it were 3 schools that get chosen through Paper Mill Playhouse, and those 3 schools will be brought after the 3 months to Paper Mill. And yes, it's humble enough to say the kids got a standing ovation.
Yeah, when
And
other
it was a joy.
students applaud your work
Yes.
and they do not look like you and they're cheering for you, that is a hands down honor and an unexpected joy. So 3 Views has crossed many thresholds, many barriers on all levels, from children to adults. The full performance is an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. I'm sorry, hour and 15, an hour and a half. And we have delivered that all throughout the tri-state area, and with great honor and joy. And this is where I feel that as a little girl going through those fields, feeling those breezes, it's just, I don't know how many of us can remember the movement of the air when we're walking out in it. It like it dances around us. It pulls us to it. It covers us. It refreshes us. I remember smelling wheat because the neighbors across the what then was called the road, still the road, had a wheat field. And I remember it like there's a line, and when the lights all golden in the sunset. And every time I hear that line, I remember when the sun would set on that wheat field, and it would be gold. And I ran through that wheat field, and unabashedly not afraid of anything that might bite me or might chase me, just being free. The earth gives us such a freedom, such a joy, such a backdrop for everything. I mean, we talk about scenic artists. They pull from that. I truly believe they got to be pulling from somewhere, because they have to paint all these beautiful and build all these beautiful scenes that embellish the character of the actor that's presenting it. And then, you know, I look at the flowers. I could walk through the beds of flowers that my father planted, and would smell them and see them and touch them, and look at every shape of an iris, of a rose, of a coronation, of all those things. And then look at the different shrubs that we take for granted. There's no such thing as just pure green. There's green yellow, there's blue green, there's green green. And if you look at it really close, you could see it. And I'm always saying, do you notice that? And people kind of like, but they really don't. But it's okay. But I'm going to point it out to you, so the next time when you look at it, you're going to catch it. And there's different types of soil. There's black, there's brown, there's red, and almost yellow. And you need to use all those soils and different beds to make flowers and vegetables grow. As Gary was saying, the pear trees. I mean,
Yeah.
the pear trees, the cherry trees. We had the plum trees. You know, I never knew a plum grew on a tree. I didn't know where it came from until we had it.
Didn't your dad have watermelons?
Watermelons,
We did.
cantaloupes,
Cantaloupes,
honeydew melons. And
corn.
they had to watch me because I'd be sitting down there eating.
Joyce,
yes.
Joyce, just let me, I want to say something in regards to, again, because your life really had that experience deeper than my growing up, you know, with your dad being a farmer. But I find it so beautiful, folks, that people of color are saying these things and wanting to do these things with, and I did a background check on you guys. I went online, and such a blessing that people of color seeing that the environment is so important to all of us, and like preserving it, to nurture the use of it. I'm loving it, and I hope that I can be a part. I know Richard said $20 a year. That's pretty steep, but if I told you what I spend $20 on today, no, I will get on your site and join your organization, and whatever I can do to be helpful.
Will do that.
Yeah, we'll both do that. And I just want to say, as Joyce might have said earlier, I have other things I got to do. I got more snow to shovel, but if anybody has any questions or thoughts, I'd be happy to try to answer them as best I can. And I thank you for the opportunity so much.
Thank you for sharing your talent and your thoughts with us today. This has been a great honor for us, so we're grateful to you for coming.
My pleasure. My pleasure to one and all. Joyce.
Yes.
Good work. Thank you. All right, guys. Be blessed. Take care.
Thanks so much.
And again, before I sign off, anybody have any thoughts or questions about Langston or the hope we covered it? Hello, Queen. It's Queen.
Where can we see your performance?
Joyce, what are we trying to set up next?
We're working right now setting up something for the Newark Public Library, also in Red Bank.
Hold up. Is that in April?
That's in April for Poetry Month. All these will be coming into April. As soon as I lock in the date with everybody, I'll be happy to forward that information along and have you come and share in our joy.
Okay,
We'd
thank
love
you.
to have you. Yes.
Yeah. We just was at the Newark Museum on the 15th of January.
Celebrating King, yes.
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 We've been there like about 8 times over the decade. So that's good to know we're loved.
Well, it's always a juggle for me, and I'm sure it's a juggle for Joyce, and because again, my work with New Jersey Symphony, working tonight, we're doing the Aretha Franklin tribute, the full symphony, and a live band, 3 background vocalists, and 2 marvelous lead singers covering not only Aretha, but standards that we didn't even know that Aretha either covered herself or may have participated in writing. That's tonight's performance at the Jersey Performing Arts Center.
At 8
There are
p.m.
tickets available. They're only 20. I'm not advertising for the pack. I'm advertising for myself because I'll be there having fun on stage. But I think start at $25. It's a wonderful show, and we always encourage people not only to support the pack, but support New Jersey Symphony. I grew up with classical music in my life. My father was a self-taught classical musician, and at the age of 65, he learned how to sight read classical music. So it was always in me, and I thank God again to this day that for the last 6 years, all I do is classical all day, all the time. So again, thank you so much. God bless everyone.
Too. Thank you.
So you see all about our Three Views life, right? We also have another piece that we do called The Sordid Heels, based on the life and works of, not life and works, but excuse me, it's based on the Birmingham, letter from the Birmingham jail. Gary has done that piece. In fact, he just did it recently at his church. He did an excerpt because it's very in-depth, and it blew everybody away. You could just feel people's spiritual energy, like, and they did it for Black History Month, and it was like, it was just, I mean, I've heard it many times, but you know, there's always those particular moments that things get just very like, it's so different. I mean, when he did that, it was like, I couldn't even hold the camera, but almost just breaking down. It was like, oh my goodness. And they did, and then he had the choir do Freedom, the song, Oh Freedom. And oh, did they do it? It was like amazing. And he sang with him because Gary also can sing. But as for me, I just, in my life experience growing up, you know, I hope that I really didn't ever take it for granted. I don't think so. I always loved everything about, like I said, the fields, all golden, looking at, you know, running out barefoot to go grab a tomato off the vine, eat the blueberries of the vine, even eat, I see green peppers like an apple. In fact, they're very good for you. And I would pick one off the vine, those things. The only thing I hated in that whole bank of vegetables was okra. To this day, I do not do okra. Number one, because it itches when you pick it. And for me, it's like a cactus on the outside. So those the little fuzz is just like gets into your skin, and you'll be itching for me forever. I thought I could get out of picking it, and my mother would just wash on my little hands, put the gloves on, put me back out there and go pick all this stuff. But it was, when you think about a garden, if you close your eyes, you think about the vegetation and the flourishing of it, and just look at going down by the rows, like you would have. Gary, you still on? Gary, you still on? Turn your mic off, Gary. Did you get it?
Yep.
So when you think about it and you just close your eyes, if you've ever had the blessing and which comes with privilege to be at a farm, I don't care whose farm it is, and just think back how you see these rows of things growing. First, it's like nothing. Or, you know, and that plow, the Freedom Plow, I can believe that I learned how to plow. I was a little girl, and I was saying to Gary, I remember that thing at the bottom with the blades that would turn and dig into the soil, and then it narrows itself down to the neck, and then it expands itself up to you. And it was big. And my father told me how to hold onto that plow and walk it and create that trench. I was so excited. He said, I remember turning back. He said, don't look back. Always look forward, because you're passing through going forward. And it just resonates with me today even more so. It connects to life. Again, you know, connecting, you know, we are part of the earth. We're very much so a part of the earth. There is no escaping it. We are connected to this motherland where it nurtures us, it educates us, it loves us when we love it back. It does, even when we don't love it back, it gives to us. It's a giving thing. And if you love it, And it would just give you, it would yield so much. I think about my father and those fields of all those things, the corn, the okra, the as I keep mentioning, broccoli, cauliflower, tomatoes, onions, green peppers, all of this stuff. And then he also had a separate garden because he did commercial landscaping. So he had all these shrubberies and of all kinds. And then you go over to another side and you got all these berries and fruits. And I remember that pear tree in particular, as well as the apple, would be so loaded with pears, it would just bow over. It just bowing right over. And harvesting all those things. And, and then my mother canning everything. And we had a fruit stand, a vegetable stand, and we would, obviously, that's what we did. And then we shared with family and friends. So it was a three-way blessing. And then I remember my father saying we had the grass on the property was like a carpet. And it was like you could lay on it and sleep. And that's how the grass was. All the grass part was like carpeting. And many days I was out on the lawn sleep, and playing and running barefoot. I was one child, you couldn't keep shoes on my feet. My mother was so hysterical about it. Like, she just won't keep shoes on her feet. And my dad, God, don't worry about it. Everybody else had shoes but me on. I was the one that I was happy just running through the dirt, running through the grass, running through the fields, whatever. And everybody, it wasn't a lot of houses back then. It was the neighborhoods our surrogate grandparents. And then we had across the street, which another family, they had the wheat. We had all the other vegetation. And Grandpa Abbott, he had what he had. My favorite thing was the honey and the white grapes. And then going forward, there was more woodlands between us, and it was another house. And of course, you had to cross another road to get to that house. And then at that one little traffic light, crossed back over, and then there was like a general store. I sound I'm in the middle of God's country somewhere, which is true, because that's what Southern New Jersey was like before we got into this part of the century. Very rural, very open air, very just beautiful. And there were lakes all around. And some were tidal lakes, some were untitled. More like, it was almost like a horse's watering hole, but it was fun. We would go swimming. And then we were 10 minutes by car to the beach. So it was miraculous life. And I attributed all of that to my, being enriched in life by those things that went into my system, touched my hands. I remember planting. I love dirt. I have no problem. I always try to remember to put gloves on it, but I can't do it. I want to feel it. So when I have a, with my porch, I have all these plants in season when they come. And then in my house, I have all these plants. And I don't know, I just don't put the gloves on. I just can't. And then I just wash my hands, put some Vaseline on it, keep it moving. And that's pretty much it. And that beauty, that backdrop, that connectiveness has made me a whole person. I ate from the land. I slept on the land. I walked on it. I sang on it. I prayed on it. We had a big backyard. It was kind of just nothing there. That's why I would sing and dance as a child, make it pretend, and all those things. And I'm grateful for that experience. Very grateful. Yeah, I am.
So Joyce Anne, this is Don. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Really a comment also. So when I met you was through the Arts Council in 2007.
A long time ago.
Right. And so I just want to talk about the connection part between the art and the land.
Sure.
In real time with our relationship. And so we're coming to the Arts Council and volunteering and learning about curating and all these hidden gems, if you will, that I wasn't exposed to came from you. But also with you, and I believe it was Kathy at the time working at the Arts Council, the information going out about the grants and things of that nature. You were instrumental in giving me that conversation to share with the park friends groups to apply for different grants and being involved. And so even with being at the Arts Council, it still fell out into the community exposure. So I wanted to share that part of you, my own personal experience on that connection with the art and the land.
Yeah, and you know, it's the thing is, this is that you have to know how valid it is. It's that the Newark Arts, I don't know how much they're doing right now because I'm no longer with that entity. So, but I do, you know, I'm still in connection with it. And I still tell people, you need to apply for grants, just like your organization. You need to apply for the grant. And because you're building something for the community, I'd have to give it much more thought on how you would need to word it and then go after it. Because I still know those things, thank God. But yes, because you're building a space and a place, not just for our children, but for ourselves. We need to have somewhere to go and be able to enjoy the outdoors. We need to be more a part of the outdoors. We need to understand it's a very important connective in our lives, not to be disconnected. I mean, during the pandemic, I was like, I had to be outside. I would go to my porch and go like, I just got to get air, God. I can't take this. You know, I need to breathe. I need to feel that morning air. I need to hear that bird sing. I need to see that sunrise and all those things and feel that breeze when it shows up. And I think sometimes we get so, what's that word? I hate the word jaded, but we do. And I don't think it's purposeful. I think it's just societal ignorance, if you will. And we forget about that other part of not being outside of the office and how valuable it is to our very life. And for our children, not just our children, we like to say, no. We need to play in those parks. We need to go to those parks and read. We need to take an easel, a drawing pad and do this, or take and record in the park, whatever it's mobile and possible, and spend time in the park. I mean, I don't think it's ever been a time in my life that I've not spent outdoors. I could not exist. I'm sorry. I can't. I have to get outdoors. Like this morning, I went outside. I'm out on the porch in my slippers, taking pictures of the street where I live. I said, oh, look at this. It's so beautiful. Oh, goodness, I want to breathe the air. It's like, I just got to do it.
And because of you, the Arts Council as well, that's how we found Jerry Gant. And
Oh,
so
Jerry.
you guys
Oh,
also promoted the local artists in a very strong, forceful way.
yes, he did.
And so, but we found Jerry going to the Arts Council with Mr. Oglesby and you guys like promoting local artists. So you've had your fingers in a lot of things and a lot of our work. And so I'm just bringing it up to the top of how
Oh,
instrumental you've been a part of United Parks as One from the beginning.
well, thank you so very much. I also want to encourage you all. There is an artist, his name is Richard Gaines. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but his work is in Montclair, and it's at the Bradstadt Gallery, which is which is in Montclair. I can send you the information, you can have it. He mirrors that type of work that Jerry Gant did. And this place, and if you know any artists, is looking for artists to come. There's no fee. They don't touch the money. So if you sell it, it's all yours. I was
Nice.
enthralled by that. I said, that's the best thing ever. Nobody wants a piece of the money. They just want you to get the opportunity. That's a rare thing in the 21st century, because somebody's always, and we want to say we want to help the artist, and then we got one hand going forward and one hand going the other direction. It's like, well, what do you really want to do? So that's something to know, and I can forward that along to you, Donna, and you could just share it with everybody else.
Well, and share it with Carla. And
Oh, yeah,
that way
yeah,
everybody will
both of
get
you,
it.
yes.
Yes. Great. Anybody got questions?
Please ask.
Peace and blessings. This is Queen Mother Imaku. I just wanted to say,
Mother Maku, I know you.
I was so glad to
That
hear your
wonderful
voice.
drummer, and who I met through the Newark Arts as well,
Newark
and
Arts,
who
yes,
came and
indeed.
drummed for us when we had a gathering. I will always remember that, and everybody was speechless.
Yeah, still performing, and
I bet you are. You better not put those things down, girl.
Give thanks. I just wanted to say I'm so grateful for everything that you shared and the perspective that you gave about living in South Jersey, because I didn't realize when I came in the conversation you were talking about South Jersey. I thought you were talking about being down south, because my family is
It's called the Up South. You
up
know this,
south,
right?
right?
Because
Yeah,
the Mason-Dixon line runs right through it. People don't want to talk about it, but that is the Up South, because they kind of hush over, because Jersey wants to act like they don't know, because
thank you. Talk about it.
they were the last state in the Union to free the slaves.
That's exactly right. And so all those attitudes are pervasive from the bottom of the state to the top. New Jersey
Right.
likes to pretend that it is a liberal state, and it is not.
Mm-mm.
And everything that you were saying to me put me, though, in mind of my grandparents who and my father, who came off the farm, the family farm, and my grandparents who who came out of sharecropping and came up north, but still had all of the stress the importance of being able to plant, grow your own, eat from the land. I mean,
Yes.
even with my grandparents' barn restaurant, they had a little area in the back and on the side, two areas where they were growing fresh greens, and
Oh,
all
yes,
kinds of
those
things.
fresh greens.
And my grandfather used to talk about what it was like working the fields and so forth. And we come from a very rich
Yes.
history and culture. And
Yes.
the fact that we have young people who don't appreciate that and understand that today. I mean, I know we have the urban garden thing going on here in Newark, which is magnificent. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes.
But they get a lot of pushback in a lot of ways from the city, and being able to maintain those gardens without somebody trying to buy the space. They're growing things and then coming and finding one day that the gate is locked and they can't have access to the very food that they've grown, and in these in our food desert areas here in the city too. I really hope that I need to connect with you. I was just looking for my phone to see if I was going to ask if your number was the same, because in doing assemblies as you do, and which are school performances, and that's what I do also. But I think that I want to partner with you on this, okay?
Amen.
Because sharing our stories, that's vital for the young people coming up, because for some reason they kind of act like they invented the wheel, And
Right.
last thing I wanted to say,
Societal ignorance.
yes, last thing I wanted to say regarding Newark Arts, so much of the heart and soul of it is gone now. I know it looks all wonderful and big and fancy and splashy and, oh, we're doing this, that, and the other. But to be very truthful, at the time that I met you and got involved in the council, that's when they were starting to edge us out. And they didn't want to hear what the elders had to say. They just, well, if you were an elder of color.
Yes, yes.
They didn't want to hear what the elders of color had to say. They didn't regard us in terms of our voices as artists, in terms of our experiences that we were bringing, in terms of the hands that we were very glad to offer. And things changed, especially after Jerry transitioned. So I'm really passionate about everything that you're sharing, and hope that, since what I'm hearing is that that our organization here, that United Parks is One, now has an in with Newark Arts. I'm hoping that we'll be able to find a way to be impactful and work together and be able to elevate the heart and soul of what art was to the city back into it, infuse the wisdom, infuse the experience, and also to open doors back up to so many of us elder artists who are sitting on the outside, while the people who are inside are just passing the jobs back and forth to themselves. They know about the grants, but they'll just keep it to themselves and pass it back and forth to their friends. And so it's just this tiny little cluster of the same people
Toxic.
getting the same money over. And then you find out afterwards, like, wait a minute, where'd that come from? or wow, a bunch of us applied for that, and you know, so that's what I wanted to share. I have to
Well,
run
you
to.
know, Queen Mother, we become a very toxic society. We fell into the pit hole, or the whole pit, whatever, of the societal ignorance that we were trying to escape
Mhm.
from the I'm gonna say all the way back from the 1900s and beforehand, not to be that. And it seems like to me as what that we are falling backwards, that we are become, you know, I'm so educated, I'm so this and I'm so that, and I'm making this money and I'm living here the high habities. Excuse you, you need to take a moment, reassess your spirit first of all, and your mindset and your being, and realize, what am I doing? And why am I doing this? And if it's out of order, you need to get divine order and then get the rest order intact. And that's what it is. There's no divinity, first of all. Everything is coming right from the hip, if you will. And it's like that's what's happening. It's not because we were people of divine order. We believed in that supreme being. We believed that we were here for a purpose. It's hundreds of years old, and we like to say a lot of things, but are you walking the walk, as we say back in the day? Are you talking the talk? And do you believe in that? And you know, and I know what you're saying. It's like it's it's a cycle that needs to be broken. It's a trend that needs to be reassessed. All these things need to happen. And it's like people like all of you there who are making that difference. And I guess what we have to do is broaden the scope and make it more public, make it more visible that these are the pangs that we're dealing with, while you're saying, oh, let's do this and oh, let's do that. And they go like, well, wait a minute, what happened to all of that? Oh, let's do and whatever. And it gets trapped in titles, it gets trapped in positioning, it gets trapped in money, and it gets trapped in prestige. And it's very frightening. It's very sad, and we all are seeing it and hearing it. But all of you are being a part of the change. It's like, you know, my father always said this: it's a link thing. You can't make everybody do something, but where's that going to start? With you, little girl. He still call me little girl all the time. It's going to start with you. So you be about the change. Somebody will see it, somebody will hear it, and prayerfully somebody will latch onto it. And while, you know, I remember growing up and wanting to be all of this and all of that, like a lot of us do, because that's what we're fed in this society. And I remember my parents driving home constantly, even as a grown woman, please do not lose where you come from. Please remember how you got there. Please remember all your roots, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just, I just couldn't get it out of me. And it caused me a lot of trouble because people said, well, you should be like a president. A director said, no, that ain't going to happen because I don't think like that. You know, I can do certain things, I can be certain things, but there's certain things I just can't, I'm not going to do. And because of that, it's caused me a very serious challenge in my work opportunities, because my ethics ain't gonna happen. You know, it's important for me. It's very important for me to maintain my roots. It's like I used when teaching the Newark Museum, I would be talking about certain things, whatever, doing African studies, whatever studies I was doing, because I taught African American studies, African studies, I taught Asian American studies. By God's grace, I taught all those things. And the one thing I would ask kids when we talk about things, I said, let me ask you, how many of you kids have been outside? How many of you play outside? How many of you have stuck your hands in dirt? How many of you put your hands in water? How many of you stuck your foot in mud? And everybody's looking at me like I'm on drugs and dog food, you know, like, so it's like, and they're looking at me. I said, how many of you ever laid on the grass under the stars and tried to count them? You ain't gonna never get the number. I said, and look at the moon, look at the stars. Have you ever seen the transition from day to night and night to day? And you could just feel the like, oh, I said, you need to get with a parent or older sibling If your parents don't have time, prayerfully you have an auntie, an uncle, a big sister, a big somebody big, they can, help supervise you with this and take you through it. Ask them.
That's
You
the
don't
key.
ask, you don't get. And I said, how many you talk to your grandparents?
See, that's the thing. And I have to go, but I just wanted to end with this because here's the thing. And I emphasize this. Our generation is we are the last living witnesses to Jim Crow.
Yes,
We have to have our stories heard
that's right.
because the same cycle has started all over again. And
Yes,
we're
it has.
witnessing it. And, a lot of us are thinking, well, on the one hand, it's, hey, we're here. So that proves our strength. But on the other hand, it's like, I don't want to do this again.
No,
And
and we don't want our children to do it
it's
again.
fostered by young people who are clueless about what we have gone through because they have not lived it and they don't realize that they're all up in it. So by using our resources through the parks, through the arts, and being able to bring intergenerational gatherings into existence, I think that is also going to be a great part of our healing. I love you all. And
Love you too. Sorry you
Joyce
couldn't
Anne,
see me. My camera didn't work.
I'll
But
connect
you
with you
know
later,
me, you
Joyce
know,
Anne.
look.
Much love, much love.
Much love to you too. Oh, Queen Mother,
Yes.
don't forget to check with my number for me so you can get it. Donna has it.
Okay,
So
great,
does Carla.
great. Okay, much love.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Well,
How are you this
I don't
evening?
know what you look like, Miss Joyce, so I Googled you.
Oh God, did you get the right person?
I think so. I think so. So I put a link in the chat. I worked on a brochure for
Mhm.
garden connection, native plant garden connections in
Uh-huh.
schools with the New Jersey Native Plant Society. So I
Beautiful.
put that link in the chat, but my question, or I guess a statement too, is I appreciate you talking about your childhood. I grew up in I guess Central Jersey, Lawrence Township, down by that's Mercer County.
I know where it
And
is. Yes.
so that same childhood, I had, and I also put there that there are very few farm spaces like that now. Most of them are commercialized. They're growing wheat and soy, basically. So, but my question or statement is, how do we reach our young people in garden connecting spaces? Like some of the things that you talked about, I've asked my kids too, but that's on a broader scale. On a deeper scale, what do you think it's going to take for this educational system to realize the benefit in connecting students, no matter what age they are, to outdoor places and spaces, and connecting that curriculum so that it's impactful and they can own it?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it's a struggle. I'm doing some of it, but it's still a struggle.
Yes. I think what we can do collectively, this is just off the top of my head as you present the question, is that we just like I've gone into the classrooms doing the works of Langston Hughes. We can and King and whomever else we've done, we could do the same thing with the farming. We could do the same exact thing. And I'm so glad you asked that question because then we can, to the point that we can have I was going to say a travel cart, if you will. You got different types of soil. You got different types of seed. You got different types, and you teach them to touch. You like that? I see the smile.
Yeah, I
And
do, because that's what I'm doing. I just acquired a client of preschoolers, the
uh-huh.
Urban League, and they're loving it. So it's necessary to start at that young age
Yeah,
and
and
bring that
even
up
we need
through.
to get with the program because
Yeah.
we forgot. And we, like I said, oh, my nails are done. I don't do my nails except if, and even sometimes I don't even do my nails. I'm going to a formal. I just leave them as they are plain
Right.
because I get frustrated with nail polish because I use my hands and next thing I know it's chipping and peeling and carrying on. So I said, I can't do this.
Right,
I
Hannah.
just, because even I remember my mom saying to me once, she said, aren't you a fashion designer? Aren't you working with these people? I said, yeah, I know. I said, well, look, they're nice and clean and they're all filed nice. And I just, never really embraced polishing my nails like most people do. And I can't do them long nails. That cannot work for me. So I just think that it becomes like if you can apply it where it touches all the senses I said before, the look, see, look, touch, all taste. And because
Yeah.
people don't realize when you put something into the soil, you're eating it once it grows. The
Yeah.
soil is in that product, the end product. We don't realize it. It pulls everything from that earth into that plant and into that berry, into that green, into that whatever it is. And you're eating it. People said, I said, well, you ever ate dirt? I said, well, I guess you don't realize it. When you eat that corn, you're eating some of that dirt
Right.
because that's what it came out of the dirt. And they're like, looking like I'm crazy. Like, yeah. And I said, and that's good dirt because that dirt has nutrients and vitamins that feed your body and keeps it healthy. And we don't realize that the soil is a source of food as well, because it grows from that source into that whatever we're hoping for. But yeah, I'll be happy to work, anything you need my help
I'll
with.
connect with you. And we learned a very valuable lesson in soil this growing season. We had to amend some soil thanks to Trust for Public Land and United Parks is one. And Miss Donna, I have 22 raised beds at Louise A. Spencer that are
Beautiful.
going to be thriving again. This year was a wonderful experience with the students there. So just, starting like that and just going to different schools and
Oh.
really trying to get this curriculum connection. So check out the link. I put it in there for everyone. And if you need it again, I can just send it out to you.
Yeah, and you're welcome to my information. You can get it from Carla and or Donna, both. The other thing is that people don't realize soil has oxygen in it. If we take care of our land, it breathes for us. It gives us oxygen.
Yes.
And that oxygen also feeds into our plant life. So it's a win-win situation if we love our earth the way we're supposed to.
It's a cycle.
Yes, exactly. The cycle of life.
Yes, cycle.
It's all there. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I'm honored. Thank you.
I want to just say Dina is doing an excellent job with her gardening throughout all of the wards in Newark with the younger
Aw.
generation, as well as training the trainers and as well as the
Mhm.
seniors. So I just wanted to give accolades to Dina with all the great work that she's doing.
Thank you.
And I'm happy, Dina, to come and speak, workshop with you, whatever you need me to do. I'm happy to come. Just give me, as they say in the business, a heads up.
That's wonderful. I love
And-
workshop development and design.
Yeah, I would love to
Thank you
do
so
that.
much.
I was looking behind you and seeing the sign that says peace and earth. On earth, yes, I love it. I noticed it right away. Is that your office you're in?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that, peace on earth. We need a lot of that. Anybody else? Oh, I want to also give also respects to my grandmother. She also had a farm. She was Native American, a Seminole Indian. And my grandmother, also had a farm as well. So I had both opportunities. She was in another city from me, not that far, about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes by car. And she had the livestock. We once had livestock, but that was gone before, I was born. And then my father didn't want to do that anymore. And because he wanted everything to be free range, but you had to chase him and go find him at the woods. So the bottom line was that would be too problematic. So he decided he had a greater interest in doing all vegetation as opposed to doing livestock because he had the livestock before. And he just felt like he didn't like caging things and having to, and hurting them up. So he left that with my grandma. And then eventually that changed and she likewise followed suit and had just all the vegetation as well. So farming is it's a part of us indigenous people. I don't think I think this is this is who we are. I mean, it's built in. And thank God for us who are able to use that and to and nurtured in our spirits and shared amongst everybody else and help to bring them along as well. Because it's important. You know, we got to do this. We got to love this planet that wants to love us back. Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything? I'm happy to hear, listen, share.
This is an observation more than a question, based on some points that came up during the discussion today, early on when Gary was talking about the poem by Langston Hughes, I Too, he kind of voiced frustration that the ideas and feelings in that program are still, in that poem, are still things we are voicing today in terms of having to state our value and who we are as Black people in America. And then Queen Mother was talking about the need for young people to understand the historical relationship to the land and what that means. And so even though we are making some progress in terms of what schools are doing, it seems like there is a place for this to happen in community where it is happening with the gardening, whether it's community gardens or whatever, and where it's happened in the past, where there were organizations that started free lunch and free meal programs, for example, before the government ever got into that business, organizations like the Panthers and others. And so to me, what it's saying is that as community, we need to be aware of our responsibility to make sure that children know what it means to feel free outside and what that means in terms of this historical struggle for freedom, not just to be, but to be in a society that recognizes who we are. So there's this kind of bigger picture to all of this, and then there's just the real simple thing, like Joyce Ann was talking about, having your hands in the dirt and smelling the air. But there's something, I think, associated with freedom about that lets you see that you are part of this beautiful creation, and that you have a right to be able to shape it, enjoy it, and in other settings, make it what you need to be, whether that's political settings, social, or whatever, and to give voice to that through the arts. So I guess I've heard today a theme of, on one hand, freedom, about how all of this is related, and then on another hand, a theme about making sure that we don't allow our awareness of that to stop because we don't pass it down to generations behind us. So, and then what are roles for community organizations like United Parks in all of that? So a lot of food for thought today. Thank you, Joyce Ann, for that.
Oh, it's been a blessing. It's been more than a pleasure. That's why I said it's a blessing, because to be in the circle of all the great spiritual powers of loving this earth, first and foremost, and having respect for it, and then wanting to do something about it and caring about it, it's a blessing for me, because I always get upset. Like I had my neighbor watch the tree. I was going out to dinner with a friend, and they were on the street, so-called trimming the trees. And I said, I don't believe half these people, because the last time I had that experiential, when they were hacking the tree, I said, wait a minute. So they got to my tree, I said, wait 1 minute, don't touch it. I'm like, I said, you don't know how to cut this. Let me show you how to do this with your equipment, because they were just chopping it off. I said, this tree is living, breathing, and it knows you're there. And they looked like I had 8 heads and whatever. And I said, let me tell you how to do this. You have to be understanding. If you'll kill it if you don't cut it right. And they were taken aback, especially probably being a female and African-American on top of it. It's like, but hey, I told her, I said, look, watch the tree. I'm going to dinner. Don't let them kill it. And she looked at me and said, please don't. I said, keep an eye on, because they're hacking. They're not pruning. So we have to keep our eyes out. We have to help them along because they're not learning or have learned for the most part how to do the pruning, and it's like cutting off, it's like, God forbid, somebody cutting off your arm. The tree feels that and it goes into shock. And sometimes that side of the tree won't give you leaves and the other side will, or either the whole thing doesn't do anything at all, or God forbid it dies.
Wow. Miss Joyce, we have definitely got to get together. 'Cause one of the things that I thought, as being a master gardener, my favorite subject was the native plants and tree pruning. I
Uh-huh.
have set my whole schedule around being able to go back and prune the trees because there is a unique way to do that. So the
Yeah.
tree does flourish and not die.
Yes, exactly.
So, but Miss Carla, your point was so on point. Like I believe that a lot of what's missing in that connection with our young people and to nature and this historic um commitment that we've always had in our culture is there's not enough people talking about it. They're not exposed.
No.
So if they don't have the exposure, then they can't make the connection. And I believe we have to start giving visual to what we as adults on this call just automatically know. When we think of a garden, we think of a tree, when we think of ground, when we think of soil, when we think of flowers, there's a picture that automatically comes to our mind. But for some of these young people, when we say those things because they haven't been connected early in life, then they have no clue as to what we're talking about. So,
No.
that's why I do what I do, and that's why I am so grateful to United Parks as one, and Trust for Public Land, and Miss Donna, and Mr. Carla, and Mr. Richard, and Miss Elizabeth and Renata for this opportunity, and learning from Barbara as well, this opportunity to do my passion. And I just believe that we need to expose our children to a lot more of what we grew up with and make those connections. And hopefully it'll be, like second nature to them, just like this device is second nature.
Yeah, scary.
So, yes, but thank you so much for this lively conversation. I'm so glad I was able to attend.
I'm glad you were too. And the thing, I just want to present this to everyone. Maybe you could put together where not just for children, but adults, because a lot of us have gotten away from it. I don't do that anymore, I'm the suit and tie, the dress and nails person. It's okay. But so maybe we can actually begin to do touring programs where you do the colleges and the schools and we give the talks and the demonstration.
Absolutely. There's a garden
And then sign people up at the same
Yes.
time.
Yeah, and there's a garden tour that takes place here in the great city of Newark every year.
Okay.
So we'll definitely let you know about that. And then we're also thinking about doing some garden tours of the school gardens that are already in place, because it's about 10 thriving school gardens, and then the community gardens that fall under Clinton Hill Community Action. That's a whole nother set of garden spaces. So Newark has a lot of garden spaces.
Yes, I've
Just,
been aware of that one,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And how about us taking it to these places? Like
Absolutely.
to the schools, to the places of worship, after like a program like after worship, and we want to just share this with you. Don't have to be long because, and maybe provide some type of refreshments and then signing people up like that they can become involved and, and if they can't physically get involved, get your children involved.
Yes,
And if you
absolutely.
can't do that, whatever that works, and also we need your support, $20 a year. Hello, somebody.
Yes.
That is so classic. That is unbelievable. I said $20 a year. I ain't heard that since I was like a teenager. So it's like, this is important. And also pulling our seniors, like Queen Mother said, that we need to step out and press forward.
The intergenerational connection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be definitely in contact with you.
I'll be so looking forward to it.
We are coming up on the end of our time. Before I turn it back over to Richard, are there any other comments or questions?
Thank you so much for you and for Donna for thinking enough of me, and Gary likewise, to have us on this wonderful opportunity to be a part of your wonderful family, I'm gonna call it, of people who love the earth and people who love what's important in life. And I'm so blessed to be a part of it. I mean, who would have thought of it, spending my Saturday morning with such a wonderment? Thank you.